Well, well, well. Here we go again. Check out this headline. Bird flu confirmed in Texas worker who had contact with dairy cows. Bird flu, dairy cows, Texas worker. Something's weird here. Let me unpack it for you, okay? The person's infection comes just days after it was reported that dairy cattle in 5 states, including Texas, tested positive for the virus. The bird flu virus, the chicken virus, high pathogen avian influenza, HPAI. Now, I was in the poultry industry for some time, and I know a lot about this. It is absolutely horrible, and it completely devastates flocks of chickens in a fell swoop. But as you'll learn in a minute, you have nothing to worry about, folks. Nothing at all. The government has it all under control. Now, this is a big story because I love milk. Specifically, I love my red cap milk, the whole milk. Just ask my wife. She will vouch for me that I love my red cap whole milk. And she is always trying to swap it out for the light blue cap or the pink cap or worse, oat milk. Come on, honey. I did not get this way, this manly drinking oat milk. But I do. I love milk. It is in my blood. My grandpa was a Wisconsin dairy farmer, and here he is. And that is me in his arms holding a little piglet. Isn't it cute? Now, of course, my dad being my grandpa's son and his fellow siblings, they grew up on this farm. And I remember spending time with my favorite uncle, Uncle David, when we would go down to visit. I remember milking cows in the morning. And every now and then, he'd shoot me in the face with a stream of fresh, warm milk right out of the udder just for fun. He could shoot that thing maybe 10 yards. He was amazing. Now, that's not how they make milk anymore that way. They don't do it that way. Small family farms don't exist in the dairy industry. Everything has scaled big, large scale production. Corporate farms, big family farms where I'm talking about hundreds, thousands, maybe tens of thousands of dairy cows that are there doing one thing for us, and that is providing the milk for our enormous dependence on milk and milk products. So I'm concerned, not for the family farms, but for our milk supply. Because at first, the story was that they found just a couple cows that were infected with the bird flu. And that this unusually contagious pathogen that was typically isolated to birds like chickens is now in herds of dairy cows. Now, this is concerning because if you remember, there were 52 million laying hens that were euthanized because they were infected with this virus back in late 2022. And then we thought that was the worst of it, and maybe it was, but we had another 22 million that were infected in 2023. So it's a big deal. This virus can spread like wildfire, and it can take out entire populations of animals in a snap, okay? Now, this chart from the USDA says some scary stuff. It basically says that HPAI, the virus, is not going away. If you ask me, it actually looks like things are heating up as you head into 2024. It looks like the levels are higher than they've been in some of these preceding years. And of course, this is only a short time frame of data that's being shared. I wonder why. But now we have this interesting, this new unsettling twist to this plot of the bird flu. It is not just birds. It's not birds anymore. The virus is jumping, and it's showing up in other species. It's showing up in mammals. It's showing up in humans, okay? So this is from the CDC website. It was dated a couple days ago. It says, highly pathogenic avian influenza virus infection reported in a person in the U.S. This is the guy I'm talking about, the guy in Texas. The press release explains this person that got it had exposure to dairy cattle that were presumed to be infected with HPAI. Now, presumed to be, okay? He was in contact, and he got it, okay? The cows had it, and then he got it. Now, the person, thankfully, reported just eye redness as their only symptom, and he's recovering, as I understand it. He was told by the CDC to isolate. Imagine that. Go isolate. You got this flu thing. Go isolate. And now he's being treated with this antiviral drug for the flu. Now, the CDC goes on and says this isolated infection in this human does not change the bird flu human health risk assessment for the U.S. general public. And the CDC considers it to be, of course, low. So it doesn't change the assessment that they consider this risk to be low for the general public. The CDC continues to work with the USDA, the FDA, and state health departments to monitor people exposed to animals infected with this virus. But because influenza viruses constantly change, Continued surveillance and preparedness efforts are critical, and CDC is taking measures in case the public health risk assessment changes. I wonder what those measures are, but they're taking measures, okay? And they go on, finally, they say, this is a developing situation. And the CDC, our government, will share additional updates as new relevant information becomes available. Relevant information that they determine to be relevant and that we can hear. Okay? So that's their general MO anyway. You know the deal. So there you have it. Nothing to worry about. Nothing at all. The experts at the CDC, the experts at the government say they have it completely under control, and they'll let us know if we need to get worried about it in the future. Where have I heard about that before? Where have I heard that same song and dance before? Yeah, you know it. I'm not going to go there, but you know it. Now back to the cows. We're up to 5 states. 5 states that have had dairy cattle test positive for the virus, and here they are. You got Idaho, Kansas, Michigan, New Mexico, and Texas. Remember, Texas is the one with the human case too, the one recently. And I say, CDC, you can say what you want, but all these cows catching bird flu at the same time seems a little more than just an isolated incident. Now, the question is, of course, it's the CDC. So why wouldn't you trust them? I mean, come on. They have our best interest in mind, right? It's the CDC. It's the government. Of course, I trust you. Now, more importantly, what about the milk? Well, they say that because milk is pasteurized, the kind that we buy is pasteurized. Pasteurized at high temperatures, you have nothing to worry about, that it's going to kill the virus, kill the bug. And that's good because, as you know, I love milk. And it would be tough to go without milk. I drink it cold in the morning. I drink it warm at night. I love ice cream. I love cheese. We use it in recipes from A to Z, not just at home, but if you think about it, all the products that are on the store shelves in the grocery store that depend on some form of milk, you know, including, of course, baby formula. Think about it. Baby formula. Where have we had a baby formula shortage recently? You guessed it, but guess what? That would never happen again, especially after the White House has already addressed the infant formula shortage from the last time we had one. Remember this big announcement that the Biden-Harris administration is working around the clock to increase formula production and get more safe infant formula to store shelves. Well, thank God for the Biden-Harris administration, and thank God the government is here to save us once again. Yeah, right. Now, in all seriousness, running out of milk would be a very bad thing. Like we saw eggs do, prices will skyrocket as supply chains become impacted. Herds of dairy cows might be pulled from production. They might be euthanized. Maybe like those chickens, they might be completely put down and gone. It might take years to rebuild the herds that are today producing the milk supply for America. So if you think about all the products in the grocery store and the restaurants that use milk or milk products, the schools that use milk, it's a very, very scary thought. And even if you don't drink the white stuff, I guarantee that you're going to be impacted. You will be impacted. But maybe, if you think about it, maybe that's what they want. You know, they, like this guy, they. After all, we all know the biggest contributor, because we've been told this, the biggest contributor to greenhouse gases are flatulating cows, right? So I've got this to say. In the words inspired by the late, great Charlton Heston, you can take my glass of milk when you pry it from my cold, dead hands. How about that? So tell me what you think, folks. Does any of this concern you? What do you think is going on here? Animal viruses aren't supposed to hop over to humans, right? They're not supposed to hop from birds to mammals. They're not. Do you think beef cattle are next? Because dairy cows are already impacted. I don't know. But I do have great interest in what you think. And I read every comment. I try to answer them too. I really do. What you're thinking is important. You see things, you hear things that I don't. You're on the front lines. And whether you agree with this or disagree, what you see, what you hear is important. So do me a favor. Share this video with others. Help get the word out. People need to be aware. People need to be aware so that they can prepare. And finally, if you haven't already hit the subscribe button, the thumbs up button to show your support, I would appreciate that very, very much. But until next time, Wolfpack, be ready, be strong, be alert, and keep on prepping.